Update. Am I the a-hole for calling my husband a disgrace after he said my miscarriage ruined his birthday? Original post. I miscarried yesterday afternoon at about 12 p.m. I've never had a miscarriage before, and this baby was so wished for. So it's all so fresh and I'm sobbing right now, so I apologize in advance if it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. My husband turned 27 yesterday. I, 26 female, was pregnant with my husband's, 27 male, second child. Yesterday, I was 8 weeks pregnant. The day before yesterday, we saw a beautiful heartbeat flickering on the screen, and today I'm devastated. I was playing with our 2-year-old when I felt pressure in my lower abdomen. Not long after, I noticed bleeding, and I let my husband know immediately that I had discomfort and bleeding. Before long, I had passed what I believe was the fetus, and I messaged him, "I think I lost the baby." I wanted to keep him updated, and I guess I was seeking some kind of emotional support. I asked if he could come home, and he said, "Of course, if it's urgent." I said I thought it was, because the pain and bleeding were getting worse, and I was starting to feel lightheaded, and our 2-year-old was unattended in his playroom. We have no friends or family nearby that I could call who would get to us quicker than he could. I had to clean myself up, crawl downstairs to take paracetamol, make my son his lunch, and then put him down for a nap. At this point, my husband still wasn't home. He was working approximately 30 minutes away, but took closer to 60 minutes to get back. Hours later, when I asked, it was because he'd stopped at Tesco to pick up some beers. I ended up very poorly, losing lots of blood, lightheaded, vomiting, etc., and he had to take me to A&E. By the time I was discharged, it was almost 8 p.m. Last week, I had said I'd make him his favorite dinner for his birthday, which he reminded me of when we were almost home. I said I wasn't feeling up to it, and that whatever takeaway he wanted was on me. He said, "For f***'s sake," under his breath, and then muttered something along the lines of, "This bullshit has ruined my birthday." He didn't stop to get any takeaway, he just drove straight home. He put our son to bed, and I went to bed, and I'm not sure what he did after. I didn't see him this morning, as he had already left for work. He hasn't messaged me all day, and he got home a few hours ago. It's now 8:40 p.m., and he's been giving me the silent treatment. I tried to speak to him about an hour or so ago, and he ignored me, and I called him a disgrace. He slammed the bedroom door and locked me out of the bedroom. His mom has since messaged me and said I need to be patient, as he's also had a loss. She didn't ask how I was or anything. He's obviously speaking to his mom, but why isn't he opening up and speaking to me? She said I was harsh. I'm feeling utterly emotionally neglected right now. My body has been through emotional and physical hell. I understand that my miscarriage came at a freaking inconvenient time for him, as it was his birthday and all. I'm not sure if it's the hormones making me feel crazy, but is it nuts to contemplate divorce? Am I the a-hole for calling him a disgrace? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. If it were me, I would leave him over this. Some things you don't come back from, and getting mad at your wife for ruining your birthday because she miscarried and ended up in emergency is on that list. I'd be so repulsed by his selfishness and callousness that the thought of ever touching him again would make me vomit. He does not like her. His job is 30 minutes away, but it took him over an hour to get to her because he had to stop and get some beers. WTF. She could have bled out while her toddler was just left to himself. He doesn't deserve to have a wife or even a girlfriend, since he's too selfish to care about a living person in need. I hope OP has a male family member that can help give him something to really be upset about. That particular line made me mad for her. How dare he? I wish him the worst next 10 birthdays. May they be lonely, sad, and boring as hell. Not the a-hole OP. Leave his sorry butt, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Not the a-hole, and I can't imagine spending another minute under the same roof as this horrible, immature, cruel man. Yes, the miscarriage of a wanted pregnancy can be a huge loss for a man too, but that doesn't give him the right to be so selfish and treat you so cruelly. Your husband has showed a side of himself he can never hide again. Ask yourself if this is the kind of man you want in your life going forward. I'm so sorry for your loss. And let's be honest here, that POS does not care about this loss. Yeah, he was more upset about not being treated to a birthday dinner than about losing a child. WTF. Now for the first update. A kind Reddit user informed me that this is the best way to do an update, rather than adding a comment to my previous post, so hopefully this reaches the right people. I should have clarified in my original post from last week that the way my husband responded was completely out of character for him. He's usually a caring and supportive man, and is a good husband and father. The only incident where he's shown any kind of red flags was when I put together an accent chair. I used a screwdriver to attach the legs to the seat, and when he came home from work and saw that I'd done it myself, he jumped on it until it broke to show that I hadn't done it properly, and that I should have waited for him to come home. He'd been under a lot of stress at work, so I asked him to go to therapy, which he did, instead of pulling the divorce card straight away. We have been together for 7 years this May, and he's the only partner I've ever known. My family all love him and have accepted him from day one. I also should have clarified, yes, I know he was an a-hole in the scenario. I wasn't questioning that. What I was questioning was whether I took it a step too far in calling him a disgrace. He's going through a lot at work at the moment. It was his birthday. I'd been messaging him and telling him that I'd miscarried his child, and he had to leave work early. And then I called him a disgrace after he'd taken me to the hospital and was responding to the grief in his own way. I think the majority of people said I was not the a-hole in this scenario, and due to his behavior that my insult was justified. Thank you to everyone who reached out, checked in, offered condolences, and provided emotional support. I've read all my messages and tried to read most of the comments. Most of them have been very kind and helpful, and have helped a lot over the past few days. I had a scan yesterday, which confirmed that everything has passed successfully. Some people may remember that I was very worried about retained tissue due to my fever over the weekend. Also, my tonsillitis has fully cleared up, so I'm feeling almost back to normal physically. I left my husband. My son and I are staying with family in a different part of the country, so we are safe and managing. My husband did get very angry when I told him that I was leaving him. He tried to stop me from leaving with our son, put his hands on me, and threatened to end his life. My mom intervened, and like I said, we are safe. I have some time off work now, so I will continue to take time to recover emotionally and plan my next steps. Thank you if you've read this far. I doubt there will be any more updates after this. The chair thing is insane. Absolutely bonkers. I'm glad you're safe and you left him. Stress is no excuse for behavior. Being snappy or grumpy is one thing, but his behavior is on another level. He needs serious help. I am totally imaging him jumping on it like an enraged monkey. He had to jump on it to break it to prove her wrong, instead of, just redoing it. And how hard did he have to jump to break it? Because it kind of sounds like the chair was put together just fine for a normal human sitting on it. I'm glad you left him, but I am concerned you'll go back based on how this post is written. You are still speaking about him like he is a good husband and are justifying his behavior. Stop doing that. Make a therapy appointment for yourself. He's not here to defend himself, so I'm trying to make it as fair as possible from both sides, so he's not made out to be a monster. I have a therapy session booked. I will not be returning to him as he's not someone that I want my son to grow up watching and witness that behavior thinking it's normal. I'm not going to lie. I had no idea where this post was going. It seemed like you defended his behavior, then dropped the chair incident on us, then continued to defend him. By the last paragraph, honestly felt like I had whiplash. Regardless, I'm happy you're away from him and are safe, because he's definitely not a good person. Stressed or not, that's not how sane people conduct themselves. Please do not let him guilt you into going back to him. He's dangerous. Sorry, I'd like to say that I'm feeling better emotionally, but I'm not. I've kind of just word vomited like it's a diary entry in a sense. I'm going to start journaling from now so that I'm not just rambling to a load of strangers. Second update. Hi, I'm not sure if anyone remembers, but I posted on this app for the first time a while back after I had a miscarriage, and my husband said I ruined his birthday. I need to start this off by asking that if anyone takes the time to comment, please do not leave negativity or insults, as I'm extremely emotionally vulnerable, and I truly feel terrible. When I updated about 5 weeks ago, I didn't think I'd have to make another update. But in short, I'd left my husband, and he'd forcibly tried to keep me in the house by putting his hands around my neck. It was really frightening, and in that moment, it made me feel completely confident in my decision to leave. Since that day, I haven't had any contact with my husband. As I was leaving, he was screaming that he'd end himself if I left. It's not the first time he's threatened this in our relationship, but I called his mom once I was in the car to let her know. She said she'd go over to see him, and I didn't hear from her for another week or so. About 2 weeks ago, my husband was found dead in our family home. I'm angry, hurt, devastated, relieved, and most of all, guilty. I feel so guilty that he's gone. If I hadn't left, I'm certain he'd still be alive. But I can't be certain that I would be, or that our son would be. I don't know. I don't know how much sense I'm making. I just know that there were some people worried for mine and my son's safety. Please be kind. Please reach out to loved ones or local services if you're struggling. Do not feel guilty. If you would have stayed, he would have ended you, your son, then himself. Or he would be in jail for offing you. None of these outcomes are good. You did nothing wrong. You need a good therapist. You got loads of stuff to work through. He was always going to end himself. It was his final act of abuse. If OP had kept in contact, he would have made suicide threats to lure her back, so he could kill her then himself. If she had stayed after he choked her, he'd have ended her then himself. If she had never said she wanted out, he would have continued to escalate his abuse until he ended her then himself. I agree that this was a final act of abuse. He wanted her to feel guilty. If he didn't end her if she came back, he probably would have offed himself in front of her, knowing it would haunt her. There would have been no good outcome. 95% of the time, I will argue against anyone who says suicide is selfish. But times like these, I can't help but agree with them. His final act was to deliberately hurt you, OP. He was selfish when he blamed you for the miscarriage ruining his birthday. He was selfish when he threatened to take his own life to get you to stay with his abuse. And he was selfish when he took his own life just to hurt you in an unimaginable way. Final update 5 months later. I randomly logged into this account today and saw countless messages checking in, so I thought I'd do a blanket response so you know we're okay. First of all, thank you. I was a shell of the person I am today 6 months ago when I first posted here to vent and get advice. I knew this app existed, but I had no idea that there are so many lovely people here, so ready to help and share similar experiences. It was exactly what I needed when I needed it, and I'm forever grateful. It was just over 6 months ago that I miscarried. My husband treated me like crap on the bottom of his shoe, and I left him, despite him choking me in an attempt to scare me into staying. I'm now doing really well. I'm being medicated for anxiety. I've had almost 6 months of regular therapy, which has been so beneficial, and so much more abuse has come to light. My now 3-year-old son has done really well. I do suspect autism, so I've started to get that ball rolling. If anyone is familiar with the right to choose process in England with children's ASD referrals, please message, as it's so confusing. He's been struggling with that in preschool, but otherwise doing really well, and I'm so proud of him. I'm about to complete buying a house near my family. I've been staying here with my mom since everything happened anyway, but at least we'll have our own space again, and near my support network. I'll never, ever, ever let a partner isolate me like that again. I have gone no contact with my mother-in-law and 2 sisters-in-laws, which stung a bit, but my life is much more peaceful. That's about all I can think of that's happened since I last logged on here. I can't imagine I'll have any further updates. Thanks again so much to everyone who offered advice, guidance, and their own experiences. It probably saved my life and my son's life. Edit. For the people calling me all sorts for stopping my husband and in-laws from seeing my son, my husband offed himself a few weeks after we left him, so I am not a bitter ex-wife denying contact. My in-laws battled with me to get my son to attend the funeral without me there. They also tried to access and steal my husband's savings and life insurance payout. Glad you left. Choking is such a serious sign, on top of everything else. And I wouldn't have known this without people on here telling me. Multiple people were quoting statistics of the likelihood that he'd end me once he choked me. I'm also looking into becoming an ambassador of a local domestic abuse organization to help others the way people here helped me. With all the upset that's happened around your son, it's possible that a lot of similar behaviors to autism can show through trauma and attachment. I've never met him, so cannot comment one way or another, but keep an open mind as there can be crossover. This is exactly what I said to the GP. Signs of trauma in young children can mimic some of the typical signs of autism. But because of what his nursery had documented and the presence of autism in my family, she thinks it's best to get it assessed. But she noted it in the referral, so I hope it will be taken into account during the assessment. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my late friend's daughter a college fund? I'm 54 male, lost a good childhood friend 7 years ago. We weren't really best friends or anything like that, but he was my classmate and a good guy. I helped him out once and did a case for him completely free since I'm a lawyer. It went on for about 2 years, but we won it. He wasn't the most financially stable guy, so I didn't take anything from him. He had one daughter who's now 17. Recently, she reached out to me on my personal Facebook. I didn't know who she was, so she introduced herself and said that she was my old friend's daughter. She said she never forgot about how I helped her late dad one time with his case, and she wanted to thank me. I told her it was fine and there was no need to thank me. She kept asking about life and stuff, which was weird, and she finally asked if I could help her out with college. She said her mom can't help her. I told her I was sorry, but I can't do that, as I'm currently putting 3 of my kids through college right now, 2 of them being in medical school. I can't afford yet another one, and I told her that, honestly, she's a stranger to me and that I'm not a charity. She said she understood and thanked me again for helping her dad, and she never messaged me again. I told my wife about it, and she said I went too hard on the poor little girl and that she was probably so scared and stressed. She told me I should apologize to her. Should I? You probably could have stopped at telling her you're putting 3 kids through school and wished her luck. And no, don't follow up with her. I don't know. We saw plenty of stories about entitled people, and everyone have a problem with it. Yet here we are. Her ask was so entitled. She started with, "I still remember how you've helped our family for free," and ended with, "So can you now pay for my college?" To me, she needed to learn how inappropriate and entitled the ask was. Perhaps because of that, she won't grow up to be posted as another entitled person story in the future. Just let it go. I am less sympathetic after getting my kids through college. They are not the smartest kids ever, but both got into state college, and both received a healthy financial aid package through FAFSA. No loans, just grants, and I am a single parent and not particularly wealthy. They also worked to help pay for costs and did not live at home. Since their undergraduate degrees, they all have gone on to complete graduate school. The daughter can figure it. There is money out there.